Welcome everybody to the CREvolve with the three amigos. I'm Bucky Beeman, commercial real estate agent, Rochester, Minnesota. Who else do we have on the call?
Hi, this is Julie Augustin with Foundry Commercial.
And this is Rivers Evans with ERC.
So we're excited to have this conversation between one another and also bring it live for the fact that Julie was at an awesome event last week. I had the opportunity to go into the Utah mountains with a bunch of real estate professionals talking about marketing and Snapchat, something I'm extremely passionate about. So today's show will be extremely fun for all of us to bounce what we learned off one another and see what we can do and implement into our business and help one another excel in what we do. So Julie, talk just real quick about where you're at in the country and what you do.
Sure, I'm in Raleigh, North Carolina, here in the Triangle area, and I specialize in retail. So retail, our retail team, we cover both landlord and tenant rep throughout the Carolinas.
Rivers, what do you do?
I'm in Charleston, South Carolina. I work with multifamily developers and landowners, primarily in South Carolina, North Carolina, and Georgia. And so we're helping them with site selection, due diligence, and also, helping them with the broker's opinion of value in the process of selling.
And like I mentioned, I'm Bucky Beeman, and I work with all different types of commercial investors, tenants. We're in a community of 120,000, home of the Mayo Clinic, and we have a team of about 10 people at Realty Growth Incorporated, and we're a young team coming out of the gates having fun with commercial real estate and marketing. So let's start with Julie. Tell us about your adventure in New York. How was it? How was the tech intersect, and what were some of the takeaways? What did you see that Rivers and I didn't see?
Yeah, excellent. Love to share. And it's so funny too, just having Rivers and I both intro right after each other. It sounds like we have like this whole Carolinas thing, but Rivers and I actually haven't even met in person. We met via Twitter introductions through Rich and Bucky, and so it's kind of funny. It's like, but we're going to meet one day soon for sure in person. And, talking Twitter, that's actually how I first attended the REtech Intersect last year. It was an amazing event, actually, that was put on by ULI that was in concert with the REtech Intersect that I got invited to via Twitter. And so, I often get asked, as some of us do, social media, is it worth the time? And I know Bucky, you're going to talk about that later, but to me, it really has been. And I've gotten to know so many people like us here on the call today via social media, first connections. And so that was excellent to be able to attend the REtech Intersect now for the second time in New York City. They've been hosting it for much longer, but every year it grows. And the REtech Intersect event itself was hosted in One World Trade Center on the 63rd floor. And I mean, you get off those elevator banks and just the view was amazing. So incredible venue for them to host it at. And of course, they did a pitch of how you could lease the space to have your office there. But it was pretty incredible. They had a couple of quick panels, and it was really well done where they kept it moving so that it wasn't, didn't lose people's attention at the event. And a couple of my takeaways was, one of them was David Fano was with WeWork, and he was limited to, I think they gave him like 6 minutes to talk. And he condensed so much information within that presentation within 6 minutes. It was just like a wealth of knowledge. And, he was explaining how they're using virtual reality to design their spaces. That the WeWork is opening 10 new buildings a month. He also was explaining how their app is really instrumental in connecting their community and how much they're focused on that, as well as buildings. Actually, they're really looking at it as their buildings being data and how they're using that to improve their communities. Just those were some of my big takeaways from just his really condensed talk. So he was excellent. They then had a view from the top that had the some of the executives through some of the larger brokerage houses, JLL, CBRE, that were represented. And my biggest takeaway from their talk was that, as brokers, we're looking for differentiation, but that pretty much throughout the discussion, it was CBRE, JLL, et cetera, were not saying that they wanted to build these new tools, that they were looking to startups to provide that they weren't looking to build it in-house. They were really looking to the startup community to be that innovator, to actually build it and bring it to them so that they could then bring it to their clients and so on. So that was really good. And then this lightning round of the different startups that were there as well. That was, just to see people's elevator pitch, you kind of almost felt like you were like on a mini Shark Tank, but very condensed and very specific to CREtech. And Rivers, you introduced me to Poonam. She was a standout during the lightning session. She just did an awesome elevator pitch, and I think she got a lot of people's attention for her company, Stealth Force. And
what does that company do?
Rivers might be able to do a better elevator pitches than I did, as I could do, as far as she's really talking about doing outsourcing. She compared it to a TaskRabbit or an Odesk, but specifically geared towards commercial real estate and even up to the C-suite level of commercial real estate.
Yeah, to sum it up succinctly, it's project-based real estate talent on demand. So it's really just an extension of your full-time workforce or your full-time real estate team.
Interesting. WeWork, so I know I've asked about them in the past. I've been told they're like a unicorn company due to the fact that their value is extremely, extremely high, and they've grown in an extremely short amount of time relative to when they started. So the gentleman that talked about using their building as data, and then also how the app really consolidates, allows the community to come together and communicate. Do you see any of these brokerages like JLL and other brokerages talking about how they can somehow be a part of WeWork, whether it's having staff there or it's maybe having an app like WeWork with buildings that they're representing? Is there anything the commercial brokerage community can learn from WeWork?
Yeah, and I know that Diane Danielson, I know she's tweeted about that as far as her company and offices in Boston are actually using WeWork Boston. So I know that there are major brokerage houses that are utilizing WeWork for some of their broker staff. I know, Rivers, you're saying you work part-time out of a co-work space, as do I. I work part-time out of HQ Raleigh. I did that prior to joining on with Foundry, and it's just been a really great community to be a part of. And that's what I've taken away from it, is just the introductions and being around a startup community with just the innovation. I love the energy of being around that community, and that is what WeWork's taking that to another level. I think like some of these, HQ Raleigh and there's locations that are based in really core depth into the community locally. Where WeWork is, going to have an international range to it.
Interesting. I saw it. So thank you to one of the founders of Disrupt CRE who featured on their Snapchat some of the different speakers that were coming up. So that's the power of Snapchat. I can feel like I'm there live time, but I can't obviously see the whole speech. One that I saw that I feel like has had a lot of momentum is Build Out. What was your thoughts of Build Out in their presentation?
Yeah, I agree. Build Out did a great presentation. There were some of them, and I always think of this when you're doing an elevator pitch, if you're so slick with it, you've said it so many thousands of times that sometimes people just roll through it and you're like, what did they say? And so a couple of them, I really didn't capture it, but Build Out, they did do a great presentation, and I really took it away. It was a very clear, it's something you can like tangibly say, okay, yes, I'm familiar with the flyers we have to put together, and to have that be more streamlined of a process. They definitely did a great pitch, and you could see the line afterwards with people talking to them. I did not get a chance to personally talk with Build Out, but I know that they've had some good traction.
Was there any of the, I'll call them big dogs in the house? So let's say Google, let's say Facebook, let's say Twitter. Did you see any of these big names that are known outside of the commercial real estate industry?
That's interesting. If they were, they didn't make themselves very much well known as far as they weren't presenting or did not have a table.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they did not. I did not meet anyone.
And then as far as some of the technologies, was there any that obviously could be used in multiple industries, not just commercial real estate? I've been following a lot of the ConTech conversations, #ConTech, and there's some interesting technologies that are starting off in the ConTech arena that could potentially be in the CRE arena. I'm just curious, did you see any of those that could go back and forth?
Yeah, so the day before, I only caught the end of the MIPIM conference, which was really well done by Metaprop, New York City, and they did a wonderful job from all the feedback that I received, and then just catching the end of it. And one of the startups that won the startup competition that was held the day before was REtech, and I've been introduced to them prior because they're University of Florida grads as well, they're founders, and so I'm very impressed with them. And their REtech is based on HVAC. That's where their startup is, and I can see where that goes to both the construction and then commercial real estate as well.
So for small brokerages like Rivers, myself, are part of, is there value to go to these CREtech conferences? And if so, what's that value? Why get there? Why try to be a part of it?
Yeah, so I mean, to me, it's been the connections that I've made as well, and also to seek out the new technologies. I did meet a couple of fellow brokers that were outside of New York that were there as well, so that was good. I wasn't alone. You mentioned Disrupt CRE. Marielle was there at the event, clearly, if she was snapping live from it. So it was great to see her. I think that's really some huge value, is to be able to attend a regional event, more so than attending the New York or the San Fran. If you're not in those cities, where Disrupt CRE is doing more regional, and CREtech Intersect is as well. They're I'm trying to think. They've got a Miami, but CREtech Intersect coming up in Miami in November. So anyone watching that's in Florida, that'd be one to definitely check out. But I think it's worth it to understand, this new tools that are going to be available, and actually clearly already are.
Awesome. Shout out to Disrupt CRE, because I think this Thursday they have Boston as one of their locations. I have that in my calendar, and I've been to one of their in the Chicago area, one of their get-togethers, expos, conferences, what you want to call them, and it was very well put together. So how about any besides WeWork, was there any of those other kind of unique business models that have, whether we want to say it or not, disrupted the CRE industry, such as Liquid Space, Pivot Desk, any that we haven't heard of?
Oh yeah, Liquid Space attended last year. I did not see Mark there this year, but they definitely are doing great things in our industry. Trying to think who else. The property capsule, from a retail real estate standpoint, they are just continuing to grow, and very impressed with their founder, Alex Markson. So got to spend some time with them, and just again, they've been on a big growth projection that is, again, geared specifically towards retail real estate.
Awesome. And do you know if any of the featured speakers are going to be available on YouTube or anywhere online that I can catch up with it and some of the viewers can catch up with it?
That's a good question. I should have asked Pierce, the founder of Tech Intersect. I should have asked him if he was taping it. I know that they, on CREtech.com, I know that they do have videos of presenters from last year, but I don't know if they're going to do that again this year. But very good question. That's something, I have provided comments before. I think that's a great idea for them to just continue to get the word out, is to offer it on a YouTube or Google Live.
Yes, and I'm going to do a little bit of dig. If they don't, you're slowing down the potential of growth within our industry, because there's people like myself that want to be a part of the conversation, can't make them all. Yeah. please, 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 please put it live, get it out there. That's where the residential agents are kicking our tail of excelling their industry with technology and things like that, because they get it out there. They make it live.
Yeah.
They're building the community that exists, but
I know
necessarily found each other.
Yeah, I know the great Sarah Malcolm. I sat next to her, and she was Facebook Live. She did for portions of it, but so if you look up her on Facebook, I know she did portions, but not the entire thing. But I think that is, and I'm so into Twitter, as you know. I was doing some live tweets from it, but you're right, to have the video, especially the lightning round, that would have been really good. So
absolutely.
Got to think of that. Got to think to do more Snapchat too.
So from there, I'll go on to my conversation. I just got back. I just got back Monday, early morning, about 2 o'clock in the morning. I got back into Rochester. I was from Friday till Sunday in Utah, Park City. First time I had been there. I got invited by a gentleman named Dustin Brohm, Dustin Brohm. You can follow him on Snapchat. He's also on Twitter. And how I've met this community, this group of people that I was there with, real estate CIO Jason Frazier, RVA Home Team. I was there with Chelsea Pitts, I believe that's how you say her last name, and we'll link up in the comments. And they're mainly in the residential arena, whether they're in the mortgage business or residential realtors. And how I met them is, I wish I need to keep track of exactly where I met them, but I think where I met them was on Snapchat because someone introduced me to them, or I was looking within an app called Ghost Codes that now you can search certain categories of people that are on Snapchat, so it'll make Snapchat a little bit easier to find interesting people. In the real estate category, they were in there, and I started following them, and I started interacting with them, and I started engaging with them. The reason I started engaging with them is because they provided value on their stories, things that I thought was interesting. How to use social media to better your business, how to use Snapchat, how to use blogging. And that conversation led to me belonging in a Facebook group called the Snap Pack. And at this point, it's a public group, so anybody could go and join this group if they're passionate about social media and want to be a part of this conversation. And from there, Dustin did a call out and said, hey, would anybody want to come to Utah in October to have this mastermind? And I was like, why not? Sounds like a good reason to get away for the weekend. So we planned this about a month ago. I didn't know what to expect at all. I felt, honestly, out of all of these individuals, I felt like I was, the one that hadn't been putting out the most content. I'm like here to learn, tell me more. And it was awesome. So they have used Snapchat in a short amount of time. One thing that was extremely interesting is they haven't been on it over a year. In a short amount of time, to build an awareness of themselves and their companies that they represent potentially online. And they've taken Snapchat to where they now have a following, and they have conversations and interactions with people that are interested in what they're interested in, residential real estate or social media marketing. And they've then taken that talent and that conversation and also parlayed it into Facebook Live shows. They've parlayed it into Facebook group conversations. The community is just growing. So it's not a CRE community at all. I'm the only commercial real estate agent a part of it. I'm excited to see more commercial real estate related people get into it that are excited like I am. And what I learned was, one, it just takes time, and you can see return from social media. Right there, when we were at the mastermind, people were getting leads on Snapchat, RVA Home Team, where someone would reach out to them and be like, hey, I got somebody for you. I just want to put you in touch with them. And these people, the reason they feel comfortable, in my opinion, of simply sending her a lead is because they feel like they know her. It was such a unique feeling when I showed up to Utah. And honestly, we didn't have to get caught up too much because I've been following their story. It's like, yeah, I've been seeing what you're doing for the last 6 months. And that's, if I have that feeling, if they have that feeling about me, that's how other people feel. And you do business with who you know, like, and trust. And because of Snapchat, you know, like, and trust them more. So that was cool to see. And I was extremely impressed at how they've used blogging. to improve their brand and get their name out there. Dustin Brown specifically, he started a website called Search Salt Lake. No one owned the URL a year ago, so he bought it up. And he started writing articles. And if you look up Salt Lake in specific keywords on Google, you'll find his blog. And then from his blog, you'll find his Snapchat. And you can start, building a relationship with him. Real estate CIO, he's in the mortgage business, and he has been doing a constant Facebook Live show. And that Facebook Live show is expanding his reach to where he's now, along with Chelsea, getting speaking engagements at real estate social media get-togethers. So there's one coming in Florida that Chelsea and the Real Estate CIO are both speaking in. So it's like, it just started with Snapchat meetings, some people, the community started growing, and now it's expanding their career. So it was awesome. I'm more than happy to answer. I know, Julie, you kind of followed along on my Snapchat journey. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. I could go for hours about all the details, but that's my quick summary of the Utah Mastermind. And we did a live show. 50 people attended. It's now available out there at utahmastermind.com/media. utahmastermind.com. You can end up going to our main page, see everybody that was at the mastermind, and then the media selection tab, you can go into that and see where we had Q&A with 50 people about real estate and marketing. So
really? So that was, and when you say that was live, like you guys were all just sitting in a room and then people were pinging you with questions?
Yep, we were sitting in our VRBO. Real estate CEO is like the man behind all the back end stuff. Like he understands the back end. He's kind of like a Rivers. He understands the back end, he understands the front end, and he's able to somehow mesh it all together. And so he had a website set up. He had this live show set up. He was already marketing it. He was able to line up sponsorship from his company to help pay for our VRBO. So thank you to his mortgage company that helped, and along with other sponsors that helped pay for this mastermind and us getting together. Like, yeah, he really lined it up. So
that's so cool. So it sounds like it was a blast. And then, yeah, especially like to meet people that you, like you're saying, that I've already been friends through social, to meet with them in person and spend that time together. That sounds, it must have been a great time.
Yes, absolutely. It was fun when I showed up in RVA home team. Shannon, she goes, and I'm just going to call them by their username so people will hopefully go follow them. RVA home team on Snapchat. She goes, how's your dad doing in the business? Because I introduced my dad to real estate, and now I featured him on my Snapchat story. I'm like, yeah, he's doing good. He just got done like his 4th deal, leased out a little office. Oh, awesome. He just shot that big deer last week. Yeah, thanks for following that story. Like, he just shot a really nice deer, and I featured it on my story. Like, she knows me. She knows my father owns a little burger joint. It's like, we've been friends forever, so it's cool. It's really, it was a cool feeling.
Yeah, and I find, and I think we've all talked about, like Snapchat to me is so much more personal. Like, and I do see the value there. You're really building more of a relationship than you do via Twitter, even though I feel like the same thing. I feel like I've built relationships with people via Twitter. I think that, and that's one of my questions as far as from a time, right? Like we only have so much time, and to invest in the marketing of ourselves and our companies. To put the time into it. Was there a discussion of that, of investing time in Snapchat versus Twitter versus Instagram, Facebook, etc.?
There wasn't necessarily what channel. I think we're all under the same understanding that Snapchat is where it is at for spending your time. I think Facebook is becoming an obvious where you also need to spend your time. I would tell you that besides yourself personally, find a way to get your company involved with investing time into Facebook. If they're not, though, you can't afford not to be on Facebook with their live features and things that are coming out. But the question came within the live conversation that said, how do you measure the ROI, right? And it's like, well, I can feel it. Like, I just know. So Dallas McLaughlin, who I've been talking with, he's part of the James Agency in Arizona media company. And I challenged him a week ago to get on Snapchat. He's like, my life's not interesting, like all this. A week later, he's like, I get it. Like, I now feel more confident in speaking in front of a camera. So that's ROI. That, how do you measure that? You just know you're better in front of the camera. He goes, I actually recognize that I'm decent at storytelling because I get people to engage and ask questions. And and you're creating media that can be distributed to your other channels very easily. So one thing I snapped yesterday, number one is creating the content, picking a platform to create the content on. Tackle one, Snapchat would be my recommendation, because you can do text, pictures, or video. You don't have to do video, but I think you can get to a level to feel comfortable. And then from there is distribution. So once you get in the habit of creating content, just like we're doing a Google Live right now, how can we distribute this to help build the conversation that leads to a return? And here's the ROI. What's the ROI in this? Well, when someone interacts with us, that we end up using their technology, because it helps our business and it helps them with their business. When we meet a new person, that ends up referring business to Julie, to Bucky, to Rivers. And here's one thing I'll say with Snapchat. Today, Carla is a lady that's a residential real estate agent, I believe in Virginia. She sent out a snap. I can't tell how many she sent it out to, but I'm just guessing there's 100 passionate real estate agents on Snapchat, and she's been in the conversation for some time. I'm looking for somebody in Indiana. Who knows somebody in Indiana? I got to refer some business. That's a residential agent asking the community if we know anybody in Indiana. And I think about there's a lot of business in commercial that gets passed across state lines. What better way to ask somebody who you know, like, and trust than sometimes Snapchat? Like, it's so easy. And so it really, I could see this, that's the ROI that could happen if people start applying time and energy to it. And there's so much else in the ROI as well, but not just business bottom line dollar amount. It's even becoming more confident to do a Google Hangout with people I've never met. And part of that is because of Snapchat, you know?
Well, you mentioned Dallas, so I got to thank him. I reached out to him via watching one of your shows that you did with Dallas. I just learned so much from a marketing standpoint from him. And I reached out to him for help with a site selection question I had using social media to build up some data. And he helped me right away. And I said, I'm a friend of Bucky. So it was great. He helped right away. So thank you to Dallas.
Awesome. And Dallas, so here's another way Snapchat can work. So he texts me, he goes, what's the address you guys are at? And I'm like, I know what you're up to, man. So the next day, there's a filter at our location that says, who is Dallas McLaughlin? And we're all like, smart, man. So here he is throwing a filter on our event. And
Dallas McLaughlin.
We all on Snapchat were like, shout out to this guy, he's hustling, like he's building his name, right? And who knows where he can take that. He's great at SEO, he's great at marketing, he's great at design. Like, here's the story of Dallas. And his Snapchat, go follow him, it's Boss, BOSSD, and then JAY on Snapchat. How he got his job, I don't know if everybody knows this, but I'm bringing it to the public. How he got his job is he wanted to work at an ad agency in Arizona. He didn't move from Rochester. He didn't know anybody in Arizona. So he ended up pulling out ads on Google against the ad agencies he wanted to work for. And so if you Googled the ad agency's name, you would see at the top in the ad section, hi, my name is Dallas. I'd like to work for you. So some people were like, what are you doing, right? Don't pull that down. And he goes, that was great, because those are the guys that I didn't want to work with. And then the one company was like, that's smart. Like, we need you. So that's how his mind works. He's a great mind. And if you can just apply his thinking, and he's happy to help, to your business, ridiculous, the return. That's the ROI that could be there. So
that was awesome. Cool. Rivers, what's up with you, Rivers?
I've got a lot to say, but first I want to kind of present to y'all a box I got. I got a t-shirt from a company that we all know and love. They are finally coming to the Charleston market. I'm excited, and with a little bit of help from myself and a few other brokerages, we're gonna get them on solid foundation. It's real massive.
Awesome.
And I'm not going to take my shirt off. I'm not going to take my shirt off on camera. I promised myself I wouldn't do that. So I'm just gonna put it over my shirt.
There you go. Earbuds and all.
Yeah. Look a little professional with the collar and the.
Look at that.
They need a real massive dress shirt now. That's what they're gonna get next.
Yeah. See, you dress it up with the blazer over. That's the true startup look, right?
Exactly.
All right, let's see it one more time, Rivers. I got to put it on my Snapchat.
Real Massive is coming to Charleston.
Yes, shout out to Real Massive. And what does Real Massive do?
Real Massive is basically digital marketing for commercial real estate agencies, and it's a listing platform, but it also lets you measure how big of an impact your listings are having across the web.
Excellent.
What else is new in the tech world? Let's go on to a segment we did in the past, CREwild. What is happening in the CREwild? What should we conversate about real quick? Are you seeing any changes? Is there any companies worth mentioning? Is there anything you're applying to your business? What do you see?
Go Rivers.
Well, trying to think off the top of my head, I didn't really prepare for this call as much because I've spent the past week dealing with the Hurricane Matthew. So skip me and I'll come back.
Well, I'll start with this then. So I have been told by Dallas that Twitter is going to be sold in October, supposedly. And
like within 2 weeks?
Within 2 weeks, yeah. Like that's the prediction at this point, that they're going to be sold. So who could buy them? And I had this conversation with Boss DJ on Snapchat. And he made the prediction that it's Google. And one of the reasons he said it is they're starting to index tweets. If you Google someone's name, then you'll see also their tweets, supposedly. And they've probably been doing that for a little bit, but that's maybe a sign. I made the prediction that it's Snapchat. Like, why not just take over this whole communication arena world? Like, why don't they just not only own the text communication, but own the video and picture communication as well, and just wrap it all into one?
And they have the capital for that?
Right. I'm like, that was my thought.
They'd have to raise capital for that, or do they have it?
I don't know. I think they could raise it with their, what are they up to, 200 million users or more? They're up to a lot. So that's I don't know. That may be happening. I'm sorry, Julie, your world of Twitter could be disrupted before you know it.
I know.
Facebook could buy them and shut them down.
Well, Twitter's worth over $11 billion.
Yeah.
So I don't know about Snapchat.
Yeah, I know that seems, but hey.
But who knows?
Who knows?
What are you seeing out there, Julie?
One of the things from REtech was Reonomy's presentation, and I remember Rivers, you talking about them as far as like that you were saying, hey, you need to come outside to New York, and just in the elevator pitches that they had, I thought the same thing. Like, all right, yeah, this needs to expand. Their tagline is help find off-market deals faster, and just from their quick pitch, that was something that definitely stood out as well. But there was a couple of companies that were pitching doing different, data services, and but there's in my opinion stood out. Another one was Matterport, that is doing virtual reality and indexing it. I think they said they had 250,000 index of virtual reality. Different places throughout the world, and they're just growing from there, and just really providing VR as a service.
Wow. And they've used the commercial real estate industry to help index those properties, right? They piggybacked on these industries, provided a service, and it's kind of like this co-star effect where we provide the data to them, and then they take that data and build this huge powerhouse.
I don't know if they'd want that tagged to them, but
that's what I'm seeing. I mean, come on, like, hey, look, you guys can pay me to do a Matterport for $500, and then, by the way, we're going to index it and have that in our file. So when people are doing VR 20 years from now, they can sit in a VR and walk through your house that you Matterported 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm seeing. How about you, Rivers? What are you seeing in the CREwild?
So I'm gonna actually steal this from Rich Hopen. Shout out to Rich Hopen.
Hey, Rich.
He tweeted this earlier, but it caught my attention before this call. And it was about Chicago having basically beta testing blockchain property title transfer with a startup called Block.
You cut out a little bit. You still there?
Yeah, he sold what?
Frozen.
Oh no, is he frozen? Can't even see his real massive shirt and he's frozen.
He'll come back.
Oh no.
So do you know anything about this, Julie? I don't.
Chicago.
Oh, there he is.
I do. They talked about it some at CREtech.
They did?
Okay. So say
yeah, just that Indiana is like the leading edge of blockchain. Who would have thought?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is Duke Long involved with that at all?
Rivers, you're cutting out a little bit, so say it one more time. What was the name of the company, and then what are they doing?
Velox.re, and it is blockchain for property titles.
And for those of us that don't know what blockchain is, what's blockchain? I've heard it, I haven't dug into it.
Blockchain is basically the technology that Bitcoin was built on, and what it means is that multiple parties involved in a transaction, like a buyer and a seller. There's also a third party that's verifying that somebody had the funds and they transferred the funds, and that's just one application. But Bitcoin really blew it up, and blockchain, what it does is really, it's the recording mechanism. It's making sure that there's a series of events recorded going back, and everybody's got kind of a key, the logs, and it's making sure that everybody fits their keys together and agrees that this is in fact the current record for the property, or any other type of use you can think of for Bitcoin. I mean blockchain.
Blockchain.
With blockchain, have you seen any blogs or any videos that really explain it in depth, or even in the commercial real estate sector? I'm asking for the fact that, could you put it in the comments, or so we can see that?
I'll put a link in there on Duke Long's blog. He's
He's
about applications for blockchain at great length.
Yeah, and he's hosting a conference. Is it this week or next week in Indiana regarding this? So I'm sure it's on his blog as well.
Oh yeah,
okay.
It's on his radar for sure.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, that's been a great show.
Yeah.
Shout out to Real Massive for, I think now all of us have a shirt, right?
Oh yes.
We should.
Yes, and the Cooley Cup.
Oh, you got a koozie?
Oh, I got that too. You didn't get one, Julie?
Oh no.
I got a bottle opener as well.
Oh, I did get that as well. Julie, you didn't get that either?
No.
Oh. Well, I'll have to send you a Snapchat of me using the bottle opener. It really works well.
Good. No, and check out Real Massive, a partner with them on a retail report that is on their website. So if anyone watching interested in retail, it just released the previous week.
Yeah, very nice report. Well, that wraps it up for this week, and we look forward to the continued conversations with CREvolve. Feel free to reach out to us on whatever platform you like to use. Julie on Twitter, Bucky on Snapchat. Rivers, where's the best place to reach out to you?
Totally the post office, right? That's Twitter.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night. Great seeing y'all.
Great to see y'all.